Hello, everyone. I am honored to be one of our beloved alumni, Dr. Bradley Engle from Naples, Florida. And as you all know, the purpose of this podcast is to share some of our success stories so we can allow others to be inspired, but also see how this could end up being part of their journey. So thank you for being here, Dr. Bradley.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about your journey as a dentist who's not only offering facial injectables, but has taken it a step beyond. I am so incredibly proud of what you've done. You are a perfect example of somebody that has taken it beyond facial injectables on the other extreme to really creating a med spa concept, which a lot of dentists are actually looking to do now. And so tell me a little bit about your journey in facial aesthetics and how it's evolved.
Well, if I told you that I wasn't nervous at the beginning, I'd be telling a lie. I'm a dentist, I'm a periodontist. We focus our dental practice on cosmetics. We do have a prosthodontist that helps us here. I'm a periodontist, so I focus on dental implants and those type of things. So I was nervous. During the pandemic, we were looking for different things to grow into. We started looking into a dental laboratory. We started looking into other avenues to try to grow our cosmetic part of the practice. And so I started looking into injectables and I started doing some research online and I came across dental spa seminars and my staff encouraged me to consider looking into that type of modalities. But I was still nervous. I was skeptical. I am a dentist by trade, but once introduced to what you guys were offering over there, I knew there was an exponential result that we could, if implemented properly, we could achieve.
And it's amazing what you've been able to do in just a few years. We have alumni that, we've been around. I've been doing courses since 2006, Dentaspa being around since 2010. And you joined us around 2020, as you said. And I am like, just tell us a little bit about, because I want everybody to kind of hear. I know you started with the injectables and that's great, but you've taken it above and beyond. Tell us a little bit about what you've incorporated in your offices now. I say plural because I know how exciting it is that there's two now. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, looking at injectables, I mean, that was the primary focus. A lot of the patients came in, they were looking at going somewhere else. They came in with the intent of doing a little bit of Botox here or there. But as we started investigating all the different options in the med spa space, we started realizing that a majority of our patients were going somewhere else for these treatments. And so by having the offering in my office, that it at least started the discussion that we needed to investigate further. The Botox, the fillers, obviously a great starting point for any med spa. I know a lot of the doctors that I speak to at your seminars are just getting into with a lot of questions. I had those same questions. I had those same apprehensions. But when you're looking at grading a trend, these patients are going somewhere for Botox and fillers. They are going somewhere. And what's amazing is that as a dentist, we know the head and neck anatomy better than a lot of the injectors that are doing these services. And the way that you put together your seminars, it's a very easy approach. It allows to build on that knowledge. And it was very stimulating to me to be incorporated in those seminars and allowed to grow well beyond what I could imagine.
Awesome. One of the things that I think I've had the pleasure of actually coming to your office, you've invited me. And one of the things that I was so impressed, Dr. Engle, is the way that your entire team just flowed. Everybody knew. And that's one of the biggest hurdles, right, in dentistry from my journey and helping dentists for so many years. Sometimes the dentist is so excited. The owner of the practice is ready to go and their team is just not there, right? And I know that you're incredibly talented at building your teams, not just for this, I feel like it kind of overflowed from your success of how you already had built your practice from a dental perspective. But tell us and share a little bit about how did you get your team? And I'm sure, Botox and fillers, most people are excited for, but I also experience when I go into dental practice, sometimes there's a tremendous lack of knowledge, right? There is also like, oh, here's one more thing we have to try to sell and understand. And so sometimes there's even like what is this? Does this belong here situation, right? So I see seamless implementation that you've done with your staff, and I know that's a big hurdle. So can you share with our audience here on how you were able to get them all on board and so excited and so like basically operating flawlessly?
Well, it was definitely a lot of challenges, a lot of work throughs. But what I did notice is after talking with patients, a lot of them did talk to me and say, well, maybe in a dental office, why would you be doing Botox and fillers? I'm going to my dermatologist, I'm going to my plastic surgeons. So we got the staff on board by just incorporating them, letting them become clients. We had the ability to get them involved with the Botox and the fillers, and a lot of them wanted the lips. Every 20-year-old plus wants to add and enhance a little bit of lip filler, and I think that's an important course that you offered, because that is a key part of my practice.
Right.
But what we noticed was that I was able to provide these services under the Engle dentistry governance. However, when I started talking to patients, they almost wanted to see more. They wanted to see that we were going to put things together a little differently. So I actually separated out the company with its own med spa services inside a dental office. And that's what I've done differently. I know a lot of the doctors that go to your courses incorporated just all as one.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have devices too, so I think that is the trend. I feel like if you go beyond just doing a little bit of Botox and fillers, once you've expanded and you've grown it, I think what you've done is marvelous. I've seen success stories all over the country. I feel like in Europe, they do a lot more of that, where they have almost created a separate entity within. And so you're ahead of the curve, because things always start in Europe with aesthetics and the way, like, you see a lot of dental med spa combos, but you're operating one here in the United States now for several years and successfully. How long after you were doing the injectables did you purchase your first device?
Well, it was definitely, I started with something very basic. It was called, from InMode, it was an Evoke, which is just a radio frequency, and it just did some sculpting of the lower border of the jaw and the chin area. I bought it during the pandemic, so it was a fire sale of a device, and so I was economically able to get involved with devices at that point. But it just didn't provide enough for us. It was just one modality. It complemented the Botox and the fillers very nicely. But we started investigating what else could we do in the dental office, and that's when we started moving into the microneedling devices, still using radio frequency, and we started using some other radio frequency options, and one's called a Forma. I don't necessarily endorse one specific product, but InMode does sell a product called the Forma. Works great for the under eyes, which is something that a lot of our patients do ask about, the tired eye look. So as we continued growing our injectable component, we started adding the micro needling devices, the radio frequency devices that were just superficial, and through radio frequency pads. And so with those different modalities, we actually were able to spearhead with the growth. It took time, but with the growth, we brought in nurse practitioners that helped us with the laser hair removal and IPL spot removal. So
Amazing.
I personally have been so busy and successful with what we're doing with the med spa space that we actually do use it as a separate company now. And I'm more of a medical director per se, and a consultant. And I do bring in estheticians and nurse practitioners to provide the services.
So exciting. And, the radio frequency microneedling, I'll have to say, is what is really trending for the last few years now, more so now than ever. I feel like, no matter the company, more and more companies of the leading companies out there are having their own, right? So we have various incredible devices, Silfirm, Morpheus 8, and all the others that are coming into the market for a reason, right? Because we're seeing beautiful results. And so you were so kind to invite me. I got to see your office. I got to see your treatment. That's how I kind of got to know, it's so wonderful when you get the opportunity as you're going through this journey with your alumni, and you know what they're doing, and it's exciting, but it's another one to actually go into the office and wow, it's beautiful. It's set up, and the nurse practitioner who did my treatment was just so knowledgeable. I mean, you really did an amazing. How did you find, if for somebody that's out there that's trying to do this and they're like, where do I find somebody? And obviously that's something that cosmetic helps out with, but did you just end up searching for I know it takes a while to find the right person too, right? You probably went through some
It's very, very challenging, and there is an expense to it. So what we did was we just brought them in for a few hours a week. We brought them in on certain days. We brought them in to grow that component of the business. And so when you're looking at getting involved with radio frequency, I would say that you don't want to jump in without proper knowledge. I know that you offer a course with dental spa seminars that I was happy to take, and I picked up a lot of like pearls on getting me ready before I made my purchases. And I think that you've recognized the benefits of that knowledge, and has offered a course with that. But to find the right nurse practitioner, you have to interview people. You got to make sure that they have personality, that they have good following, and then also the result. We do a lot of photography here, and before we get started, we always do before pictures of everything, and then you have the ability to take the after photos and show the patients the results. But I would say that once you hire the right person, that you also have to invest heavily in training them.
One of the things that I admire also, Dr. Engle, is that you have taken multiple courses. You're always learning, not just through Dentaspa, but you've come out to the International Academy of Facial Aesthetics to continue and furthering your education. And you've taken advantage of Cosmetic Solutions, which offers consulting services. For those in the audience that are like, I don't have time to find the right person, that is exactly what Cosmetic does, is like we help basically get you to where you need to with every aspect of creating this med spa concept within your dental office, such as Dr. Engle here has done so beautifully and successfully. So describe a little bit about what your experience was at when you started training with Dentaspa, with getting help with Cosmetic. How has it helped in your journey?
Well, like I said at the beginning, I was very skeptical. For years, people told me, well, you have the right locations. Why don't you offer Botox and fillers? And I'm like, well, I'm a dentist. My focus is that. So I was very skeptical before I got involved with your group there. But as I made it to the first course, there was so much energy. Talking to my peers, they were sitting next to me. The books that come out with the information that you guys provide for each of these courses are very well thought out. Your trainers that come in, the instructors are exceptional people. There's not a question that they don't spend time with. So it energized me. After that first course, I came out of there just saying, why have I not been doing this for so many years? And it's just the access to the people that you bring there. Everybody has the same passion. And so a lot of times I do take the same courses over with you. If you notice, I've been coming back frequently just to do the D2 over again, just for the intermediary, just review of things. Because I want to be, even though I'm not doing as much of the injections as I should be doing, because I do hire these other people in here. I want to have the knowledge. I want to be re-energized. And that's what
you said it perfectly. You said it perfectly. You absolutely, for those that are out there that maybe are like, I'm too busy. It's so important that even if you're not going to be the one doing very much of the injections, that as the owner, you understand it. So you know exactly what's going on. You know the anatomy just as good. You hire that expert that you want to take over, kind of like how you've done it, and really do all of it or most of it. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, it's all about maximizing and being efficient, right? And that's what you've really done. And you've put these people underneath you that are just incredible. I got to meet two of them, and I'm ready to come back. So I know that you have devices in one of your offices, and tell us a little bit about the new location, which I haven't been to yet. I need to go to that one next time I come out, but tell me a little bit about what's there now, and how you've expanded from one med spa space which is branded now on its own within this beautiful dental practice, to the second location.
I'm going to tell you that I wouldn't have been able to make that transition from one to the second office without your consulting group. You've really provided such important information to me. You think you have all the right answers because we're business owners, but you've already figured this out. So I didn't make that transition to the second office without having the consulting with you and your team. So I'm very proud of that. But the second office is at Marco Island. It's a very isolated island of about 25,000 residents out of season, probably 40,000 residents in season. So we started with all the same devices. We really felt like we wanted to transition in and provide services on the island. It's a very island mentality. So to have good results will spread very quickly through the community, and to have very bad results would actually kill you pretty quick out there.
Exactly.
So we were taking a lot of the knowledge from what you and your team explained to me. I took that information, I presented it to my staff. In fact, I brought a lot of my staff to your event in November.
Yeah,
And that
we're
was
so excited. What a wonderful team. Yeah, I was glad to see you brought them out, because you used to come out more so for you, and that's good because it was injections. But then once you started really getting into, you brought them all out, and then you brought them again for, because you came with them also for a D2. You brought a lot of them in D and
well,
the
you have to, without your team being part of the energized atmosphere, you're just not going to get the results. Because if the team just goes through the motions and say it's an 8 to 5 job or an 8 to 3 job, you're just not going to get the results. They have to have the same energy. They have to come in and really just promote it without selling it. Because if you sell too hard on a patient, they're going to pull back and say, "You're a dentist, I'm not here for that." But if you introduce it and you do it in a very subtle approach, which is what your team kind of presented to me, is just don't sell it, just introduce it, and they'll run with it. And that was exceptional. That was great advice from your team. And Marco, we have all the same devices out there that we have in our downtown office now. And in about 4 months, we were able to get all the same devices out there just because of the successes of the Engle Renewed brand. And so we were able to put that together very nicely, just with your guidance, of course.
That is incredible. That's incredible. So now, how long have you been open now with the Marco, and what are you also doing? What kind of dental services are you doing there, or is that just more so the med spa? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we it's a 4,000 square foot dental office. We have a total of 8 dental rooms, and over the last year, we were starting just to get into injectables a little bit here, a little bit there.
That combo that works, right? I just wanted the audience, I know that they're both combo. I just wanted to kind of the audience to understand, like, sometimes I have dentists that are like, I'm just going to open like just a med spa. I'm like, don't you know that it's that crossover that's really going to boom, that conversion of dental patients into your injectables patients is so key, because you're not just opening up a random med spa. You have existing patients, like you said, that are dying to come see somebody they trust. And if you build the right space and you have the right team with knowledge, there's no question that it's going to take off. Because let's face it, like you said, what are our choices here? Most of us don't know a plastic surgeon. Most of us don't even know a derm unless we've had to handle some sort of condition. So now we're left with some random med spas. Why wouldn't we go to our dentist that we trust, that our family goes to, that we know really has that head and neck knowledge, as you said, and so many other advantages. We could be here on a call for an hour if we wanted to talk about advantages of what a dental provider really offers to the aesthetics world, right, for patients. So.
But I did delete 2 of the dental rooms out there, and I have only 6 dental rooms, and I blocked off the rooms so we could do hydrofacials and get an esthetician out there and make it more spa services and spa environments. And so when we did that, we started crossing the dental patients with the cosmetic patients in the med spa, and we were able to capture more of an interest in cosmetic makeovers. Our prosthodontists are much busier now, looking at the veneering and
crossover.
100%, 100%.
Conversion is key. That is cosmetics' main thing for our consulting company, Cosmetic. We say, you know what, we are going to focus on conversion. There's no need, no billboards, no crazy marketing costs. You could do it all within the practice. And that is exactly what we love to help our alumni with. So lastly, and thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to, at the end of the day, do this with me. What advice would you give to dentists, if you want to just give some pointers, that are looking to implement injectables, and also if they're maybe even thinking about incorporating med spa? What would you say is some of the most important things to kind of consider as they're going into their journey?
Well, that's a very detailed there's so many components that I would say that they have to consider. But as dentists, we're trained for head and neck anatomy. We're trained how to prep a tooth or place an implant or those type of things. We're not in the med spa space. You have to team up with dental spa seminars or something similar, because you're not going to understand an industry that you were never trained in. You have to go to a group of people that understand how to implement, how to incorporate. To inject Botox is one thing, but to actually build a business around it is kind of what your consulting group is actually very good at. And they've been successful, like you said, nationwide on some of these success stories that you're talking about. But I think that you have to get the right resources. You have to understand, get the right team behind you, train your staff, get them 100% on board with you, do marketing. For me, the S curve growth of the company happened when I separated it out from the dental and made it its own entity. It has its own website. It has its own marketing. It has its own staff members. And so I'm involved with it, but I'm letting it run separately from dental. I cross them together with marketing. I keep them separate together for marketing. But for my dental patients that are spending $20,000 for a cosmetic case, I'm giving them a free hydrofacial, introducing them to the nurses.
That's a great tip. That is a great tip. I love that.
Medspa, I'm actually saying, hey, why don't you come over to the dental space and for $30 get a full set of x-rays. So we actually have expanded our dental lab services because we're actually doing much more cosmetic cases. So they feed on each other. But the key is having the right staff and getting them through your programs and getting them through your consulting groups, because without the proper training, you can spend a lot of money on stuff and just not get the results that you're looking for.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Engle. Really, it's an honor to have you as part of our alumni family with such a success and so much more to go. And I'll be visiting you very soon, sir, for my next frequency microneedling for this face.
Well, I think you're doing exceptionally well, and I appreciate the relationship that we've established, and I think you do that for so many of your doctors, is that you've really just been become a part of my growth process. And I do rely on, I call you up on randomly and ask you questions and say, what am I looking at? And it's just that I don't have the answers. And so you definitely appreciate everything that you've helped me with. And it was my pleasure to be available for today.
It is my pleasure. It really fills my cup. So thank you so much and have an amazing evening. And I'll be shooting over to Marco Island very soon.
You're more than welcome to come by anytime. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Engle.
Okay, bye-bye.